Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, October 8th, and I can guarantee you that you guys are having a better week than Urban Meyer. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
How you doing?
That was what's up, fellas? Someone respond with some juice. Come on.
I'm doing good. I'm doing a lot better
What's
than Urban.
going on, bro? I'm also doing a lot better than the Yankees.
Yeah, I did put the Yankees. I forgot what else I put, but it was the Yankees. Damn it. I should have said that one too. Fuck. All right. Tom is a little sidetracked today. He's got huge, major issues in his fantasy football league. So Tom's just going to give his comments, pretty much whatever he wants to do. And if he goes on a rant about fantasy football, it's going to happen. I did text him last night and say that USA played last night, so I might go on a rant this morning. Luckily, I'm very happy. U.S. Soccer won 2-0. And the new god of American soccer, Ricardo Pepi, scored twice. So it was great. Obviously, racist chants everywhere. That's got to get out of football, got to get out of soccer. It's terrible. But great game last night. And we have a pretty damn good slate this week in the NFL and in college football. So I would like to welcome back Matt. Matt missed last week, but he was with us the week before. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. We got a lot of college football coming up this weekend. It's a huge week. Fantasy's been going well too. So all in all, I'm on a roll.
That's good. Tom is chomping at the bit. So Matt, what was with the Vandy plus 35 pick that did not that was it lost like in the first quarter?
Yeah, no, it was bad. I'm willing to take that. I'm not going to make any excuses. I didn't think Georgia just had an offense to put up those points. I knew Vanderbilt wasn't going to score. That being said, the Georgia offense against Vanderbilt did some pretty disgusting things. So
it's all right. It's all right.
And their special teams.
Yeah. I didn't hate you taking that. I probably wouldn't have gone with it if it was Vanderbilt, but like maybe a Wake Forest or something like that. Like they can cover that usually. I do have a pretty big spread on one of my picks. Do you have any shocking picks coming up for us, Matt?
I think all mine are honestly pretty predictable.
Okay.
We talked about this a little bit last night, but some of the lines this week just felt really strange.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You got me your picks last night, and I get my picks in probably Wednesday because I like to do the totals early because then they just change forever. But there are some weird lines, some like really weird lines. But I think that's just the way college football is this year. Outside of Alabama and Georgia, I'm probably a little biased, but I would say the next two best teams are probably Florida's up there. I think Florida's good. Ohio State's up there because they seem to be getting their groove back. We'll talk about Ohio State, but this season is reminiscent of another season. But yeah, Penn State, Iowa this weekend. Yeah, Matt, you have anything on that? Just the craziness has been this year. It's been crazy.
Yeah, what I love is as soon as you start talking about the teams outside of Alabama and Georgia, who just about everybody has as their top two. The two teams you named are both teams who already have a loss on the record, who I think nationally have kind of been written off. I think Texas is another team that got written off a little early. It makes me laugh to see, Arkansas going into the Georgia game. I want to say they were ranked 10, maybe like 13. I don't pay much attention to the.
They weren't. I thought they were in the top 10.
They might have been number 8, actually.
I think so. I thought they were number 8. Yeah.
And so I loved seeing, Texas was mostly sitting around like 21 or like the late teens. And then they lost to a team that people want to say is number 8 in the country, but we're all going, oh, Texas is done for this year. Like that doesn't make sense to me. The same thing. People got upset. I didn't drop Arkansas a whole bunch. I dropped them one spot in the ratings after they lost to Georgia. Well, they shouldn't be beating Georgia. Georgia's the number 2 team in the nation right now. Like, I'm not going to punish my number 8, number 9 team for not doing that, especially when it was the matchup nightmare that it was.
So. Yeah, absolutely. It's
So
been.
I have a question about that.
What's up?
You said you only dropped them one spot. Do you take into account or do you factor in the fact that they got shut out after they're supposed to have this super high-powered offense?
Whoa. Let me start out, Matt. First of all, I don't think anyone ever said that Arkansas had a high-powered offense. Maybe Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a high-powered offense. Arkansas does not have a high-powered offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this year, especially just looking at this first 6 weeks, Alabama and Georgia are like so above. I almost think Georgia's number one, but Alabama and Georgia are so far above that you really, I mean, you're correct. I mean, you're right. You can't punish an Arkansas for losing. And then, Tom, getting to your thing with the shutout, I mean, they almost shut out. I mean, Clemson looks terrible now, but I mean, their defense is just so good. So I don't take anything away from that, really. Matt, do you?
I don't. And it's funny because I dropped Ole Miss 4 spots, even though they played a team that I had ranked higher than Georgia, and they lost by less. Because knowing that Ole Miss roster, there are things I expected to see that I baked into the ranking that I already had, and they weren't able to do those things.
Yeah.
Whereas the Arkansas-Georgia game, for me, kind of went as expected because I knew the matchup we were going into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I basically came out of last weekend, like on Monday, I was like, well, Arkansas isn't very good and Ole Miss isn't very good. And throughout the week, I've kind of coming back. Like Ole Miss only lost by 21. I mean, they were dominated, but they only lost by 21. And Arkansas, I mean, it's a matchup nightmare for them. I mean, Georgia's front seven, it's probably the best front seven we've seen in 5 or so years. So, I mean, that was just going to be tough for them. I still think Arkansas, the SEC West is crazy. The SEC is going to be so good when Oklahoma and Texas join. It's not going to be fair. But, yeah, I pretty much echo pretty much everything you said. But we're going to make some picks, give out some winners. But first, we got a trivia question. Matt, this will just be single-handed for you, the first part of it. Tom, did you get the answer to the second question? Did I send you that email? I didn't?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well, you know the answer to the first one. We've talked about it. Matt, who has had the best SEC – I guess this is opinionated, but it's really not. Who had the best SEC backfield since 2001?
My mind immediately goes a couple places. Obviously – seeing Alabama and the amount of running backs that they've produced, even dating back, like one of my favorites was Mark Ingram for Alabama. Also thinking what Leonard Fournette was able to do. So I'm a little split.
I'm telling you right now, those are not correct. You're thinking the wrong way. You're thinking like over a time period. This team 1 year had 3 really good backs. You might be a little too young, so if you are, that's fine.
Just go ahead and give it to me.
Arkansas, 2007, Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and the Cleveland Brown, Peyton Hillis. I looked it up last night. They accounted for 59 touchdowns that year. I think Felix Jones actually threw 3 touchdowns. And they rushed, or they had their total yardage, like including punt returns and everything like that. It was like over 8,000 yards on the year. So or maybe 7,000, 8,000 sounds too much. 7,000. But I mean, they were so good. Tom, we've talked about this before. That backfield was incredible. And I mean, they basically were the ones who started the Wildcat, really, I think. I mean, you did have like Cadillac Williams in Tampa Bay to begin with, but yeah, they did the Wild Hog. They were very, very good. And obviously, your answers aren't wrong, but I just think it's pretty hard to beat those 3 guys that year. I guess this would be for you, Tom, as well. You might not know this, Matt. Who is the quarterback? He has a very funny name, and there is a very funny meme out about him.
I have no idea.
So
I'm not going to
lie. Have we wait, what did I ask? Oh, yeah, the quarterback. So have we seen the meme of the player that has C period Dick. Casey Dick was his name,
I have
and
not.
his name on his jersey was C period Dick. So you saw Dick all day. Very funny. I like that guy. He's funny. Actually, he was terrible, but whatever. He was good. All right, let's.
He got carried by his back. So
it's actually honestly great for him that he's going to be remembered because of his name, because he's going to be thrown in with one of the greatest backfields in college football history. And he sucked, but just because his name was C. Dick, people are going to be like, I remember that. So, all right. Quick current events shortly. Obviously, yesterday, NBA, ex-NBA players absolute morons, fraud, medical fraud. Doesn't surprise me. Sebastian Telfair's name came up, and I just feel really bad for Sebastian Telfair because he was the next AI in my mind, but he sucked. So if you guys didn't know, 18 ex-NBA players got arrested yesterday for medical fraud, scamming the NBA's insurance policy. Idiots. I don't understand how you can even be drafted or play in the league for a year or even a game and have money problems. I don't get it. But they do. Whatever. Obviously, MLB postseason. Any thoughts on the MLB postseason? Anybody? Anybody?
I'll take the Rays.
No thoughts.
I was very, very.
Go ahead, Tom.
I am very, very happy that I don't have to hear about the Yankees potentially winning another World Series. Did you guys see, though, the video of the woman at Fenway after the loss? Someone was recording her because I guess she was like talking a lot of smack throughout the game and everything. And then when they lost, she was like going off. And
Wait. Was it like a Hispanic woman?
Yeah.
Okay, that's from 2 years ago. That's Barstool's. That's one of the Barstool's writers, and that's from 2 years ago when they lost. They just reposted it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't.
Yeah,
sure.
and she's like talking like I'll sleep well at night with my 27 rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from 2 years ago.
I saw it, and I was like, in all honesty, that could be any year that the Yankees lose because Yankee fans rely on that fact to get them going and get them through the night. So, like, am I really mad about it? No. Do I want to root for any Boston sports? Absolutely not, because I think that they are also very bad when it comes to any sport. But, like, that video was just – it was so perfect and so great.
I mean, it's
a good chuckle.
I'll find it for you. I'll send you the link. I'll send both of you the link. They do – like, Barstool does a rundown. After that, they had a rundown. It went for like an hour. It was hilarious. I'll send you guys the link. But yes, I have nothing else. Once again, MLB, you just suck. You suck, and you suck some more. You do nothing to get your postseason going. I didn't even know there was a game at 4:00 yesterday. Like, I think a 6-year-old could run media relations better than whoever's running it for MLB because they are so bad at it, but whatever. And then the last thing before we get into the big games of the weekend, I don't want to hear shit about Baker Mayfield. Don't give me shit about Baker Mayfield. I understand it. He's hurt. I'm souring on him. I love him. I always will love him. He's literally, his personality and his way he plays is perfect for our city, Cleveland. But it really, really, now that I've thought about it, it really, really, really sucks that Herbert went 2 years later and Kyler Murray went 1 year later. I would trade the entire Browns team for Kyler Murray, other than Myles Garrett. I like Myles Garrett a lot.
So the only thing, Justin, that you got to remember is you are not the Dolphins. At least you're not the Dolphins. The Dolphins took Tua before they took Herbert. Herbert went one pick later, so at least you're not the Dolphins.
Yeah, but it sucks. Everyone knows how much I love Kyler Murray. The whole thing with Baker, it's getting weird, and the only thing that I have going for me right now with the Browns is the defense has played lights out for the past 10 quarters. They've allowed like 10 points in the last 10 quarters. They're whatever. But yeah, so yeah, Baker. I mean, if it's really hurting his throwing, sit him down, get him surgery, let Case Keenum play. But I just don't want to hear it, and I just wanted to say how much I love Kyler Murray because I seriously love him. All right, so let's get into college football. Obviously, I believe Matt, you have your rankings behind you.
I did.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
What had happened? I had written it down, realized it would be mirrored in the screen, erased it, got on the live stream, realized it wasn't mirrored, but it's all gone anyways.
No worries. We'll start with your power rankings this week, 1 through 10. Lay them out for us.
Yeah, I'll just kind of rapid fire through these. I feel like last time I said most of my piece about these teams. A lot of my opinions are still the same. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Georgia. I really don't need to say anything about that. I haven't seen anybody not have that as their top 2. A couple people have Georgia at number 1. I'm close to doing that, but for now it's going to sit there. Number 3, Iowa. Number 4, Penn State. Really, really excited about that game. Very opinionated as well, but I'll get into that later. Number 5, Cincinnati, which they were number 6, and then they just had a team in front of them drop Oregon. Number 6, I've got Michigan. I moved them up a lot. I'm a really big fan of what Michigan is doing. I don't know that they'll be able to sustain that for a very long time. But for right now, based on what I've seen and comparing it to the field of play, I think Michigan deserves to be the number 8 team, at least for week 5, week 6. We'll see where it goes. Number 7, I've got Ohio State kind of trending back upwards after a pretty big drop. 8 is Oregon. I dropped them down 4. I wanted to drop them more. I won't give away your picks, but there's something we disagreed with a little bit. Number 9 is BYU, and number 10, I've got Michigan State.
All right, cool.
So,
no Oklahoma?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Whoa,
I didn't hear
okay.
Oklahoma.
I've had Oklahoma outside my top 10 for, I think, 3 weeks now, but they're at like 13. They've been around like 12, 13.
I respect that and like that a lot because I don't have the big enough balls to drop them out of my top 10, but I don't think they're very good. I think Spencer Rattler is the worst quarterback they've had in some time. Like, I don't think he's very good. I really don't. But yeah, I like your rankings. I quite the only one I throw in there. They're in my top 10 too, but Michigan, I just have no idea what is going on. Like, if they're good, if they're not good, if they're okay, if they're like Harbaugh okay. I just have no idea what they're going to do. I think Michigan State is very good. I think Michigan State's going to be a real contender in the Big Ten. They're physical. They also, I think I told Tom, I don't know if I told you, Matt, they got 22 transfers in this year. So they're really kind of rebuilding that program. I like Michigan State a lot. I don't like Michigan just because I don't like Jim Harbaugh. But I just don't know what to expect. Like, I feel like they should be starting that J.J. McCarthy, the freshman. But the Cade McNamara guy, like, kind of just gets it done. When they play Ohio State, I think it's either, right now, my prediction would be it's either a close, very close Michigan win or Ohio, which I doubt will happen. And then Ohio State will blow them out, I think. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, I like Michigan in the top 10. I just don't know what to think of them. And like I said, respect this shit out of having Oklahoma not in your top 10. Mine is pretty much the same as yours. Alabama, Georgia, pretty standard. I will say if Georgia does come out and crush Auburn, like shut them out, I think you have to move them up to the top spot. Just because they're damn good. 3, I like Penn State. I think Penn State is better than Iowa. 4, Iowa, which also basically makes but I'll explain my picks. 4, Iowa. 5, Cincinnati. We'll need to talk about Cincinnati in a couple of minutes. I have 6, Oklahoma. 7, Michigan. 8, Ohio State. 9, Michigan State. And 10, BYU. Before we get into the pick or the Heisman's and the picks. So I think a lot of people are forgetting that obviously Cincinnati is at 5 right now. They are, and they obviously have the best chance if they playoff were to happen tomorrow. I don't think they'd be in, but they have the best chance to get in. I think people are forgetting about BYU right now because Cincinnati doesn't play another good team the rest of the year, and I believe BYU has at least like 2 more Power 5 opponents, so they could end up having basically the same resume in a way as Cincinnati. But you also, I think, BYU beat Arizona State, who I think is pretty damn good. They just need to get a real coach, not Herm Edwards. But yeah, I what are you guys' thoughts? If the playoff were to start tomorrow, do you think either of the undefeated non-Power 5, Cincinnati and BYU, do you think anyone has a case to make it in?
Not today, no.
Tom?
I agree with Matt.
Yeah, I do too. And it kind of sucks. But we are most likely going to see for the first time, I think, I can't remember all the way back to 2014. I can barely remember yesterday. But Iowa or Penn State is going to lose this weekend. So that would mean you're either bumping – I would think they bump Cincinnati up, but I also have a funny feeling that if Michigan wins, they'll move Michigan back into that 4th spot, or Oklahoma. But I think people are kind of seeing Oklahoma as a fraud this year.
I have a question.
Okay, Tom.
If Iowa Penn State is a super close game, right? Like I'm thinking back to that Cincinnati Notre Dame game where it was like kind of a lower score or a closer score than usual. Let's say Iowa Penn State ends in like with a 3-point victory in Penn State's favor, who's ranked 4. Because it's number 3 playing number 4. If Penn State wins by 3, would they just flip Penn State and Iowa, giving them benefit of the doubt, saying that it's 3 versus 4 and it was such a close game?
Matt, do you want to take this one? I have an answer too, but
yeah. When you say they, you mean the AP?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all overreaction over there.
Yeah.
I honestly, even with a 3-point win, I would not be surprised to see one of those teams drop 3, 4, even 5 spots.
I think whoever I'll take it back. I think if Iowa loses, Iowa's probably out of the top 10, I would think, or at the bottom. If Penn State loses, they're going to stay in the top 10 because they do have a win over Auburn. Granted, it was at home and no one looked good, but yeah. So it's also too early to just flip teams. I mean, because if you were going to flip teams, I guess you may have Ohio State kind of, not really, but yeah, no, I think whoever loses, whoever loses, and I think it's going to be the battle between Michigan if they win again and Oklahoma. Granted, if Michigan and Oklahoma lose, which is very possible this weekend, I would think that then you put Cincinnati at 4 and then you put Ohio State at 5. I would think, right? Yeah.
I imagine that's how it would shake out.
Yeah. And getting back to what I said earlier, I think this is very reminiscent of a season that Ohio State had in another year, in the year of 2014 when they won the national championship. They came out second game of the year, lost to Virginia Tech. Went back, won all those games, barely got into the playoff, and beat out TCU or whatever because they won the Big Ten championship like 63-0 over Wisconsin. I remember that. That was when Ohio State played defense. They actually had a defense and not ghosts. So yeah, but we're here for the picks. Let's get into the picks. Oh, I guess we can talk about Heisman. Heisman right now is such a clusterfuck that I think they would give it to Bryce Young if it was voted on right now, just because there's no one else really out there that has shown us anything. And I don't think Bryce Young is a very good football player. He'll be in the NFL. I don't think he's any better than any of the other Alabama quarterbacks that have come through. I really don't. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I think Tua was better than him in college. I think Jalen Hurts was probably not bad, Jalen Hurts, but So I think he's basically being a game manager is what I'm saying. What do you guys think? Matt?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. It's funny you say that because I was thinking about that earlier today because we were going to talk Heisman on the show. And I was like, I don't know that anybody even really looks like a Heisman winner in any other year. We might have to pick somebody for this year because the nature of the trophy is it gets given out every year. But nobody's really gone out and won it. I think Bryce Young is just kind of the safe bet. And I agree with everything you said. I'm curious to see the longer the season goes on, Alabama might take out that restrictor plate. And maybe we'll see some changes on that offense when it's not just, squeezing games and getting them over as fast as possible. And when they're really running away with them, maybe we'll see that this year. And in that case, I would make a better case for Bryce Young. But right now, my only case for Bryce Young is, well, who else are you going to give it to?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Tom?
So I felt like maybe last year, I know Devonta Smith had like a great season or whatever, but I went back at one point and I looked over all of the Heisman winners ever, and I go and look. Obviously it's become more of a quarterback centric kind of award, and every so often they give it to someone who's not a quarterback, just so that it's a different look, I guess, a different feel. Obviously we saw Devonta Smith win it last year. But I honestly wouldn't be too surprised, and you guys can kind of correct me if I'm wrong. Like, since no quarterback and no player overall is looking like the clear-cut Heisman winner, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to a different position than quarterback, just to kind of reset the clock and say, okay, we gave it to two different position players. Now we can just give it to a quarterback for however long we want in a row.
I like what you're saying, and that's how I would think. Yeah. I don't think that's how the NCAA will think. I think that they're going to look at they're going to look at a season that has no real stars. So then they're going to look for like the captain, and they're going to pin him the captain, like Bryce Young, so he led the team. But I agree, and you know what really sucks about it too? Is there hasn't been a standout defensive player, because this is totally
That's exactly what I was going to get into.
Go ahead, Tom.
No. I love it. I was literally thinking about it. I was like, okay, what if they gave it to like a Kyle Hamilton?
I mean, but once again, it goes back. There's no standout defensive players this year. Like, I hear you, Kyle Hamilton, but you also got to think, if it's going to go to a defensive player, it's got to go to like a top 5 team, a defensive player on a top 5 team, I would think. So it's got to be it sucks that there's no defensive player. Chase Young it would have been wrapped up by now when Chase Young had that season that he did. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, if we're talking about guys on the defensive side of the ball, I think Will Anderson could be fun. I know we're staying with Alabama.
2020 is pretty good too. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah. Don't worry, me either. I think that's a safe bet too. I'm looking around, and even obviously the Georgia defense is ridiculous, but I don't know that I see anybody who's really stood out significantly, even among their peers on that team. Like, that's a really great unit, but as far as individual stars, like, they're all performing at such a level. Go ahead, because you're the Georgia fan. I'll let you hop in.
No, I was going to let you finish your thought.
Go, Tom.
I was just going to – okay. I was just going to say, the defensive group has been great. Like, what if they go and they win the Natty, like they go beat Alabama, whatever, they go all the way. Justin was talking about giving it to like the captain or whatever and giving it to Bryce Young just because he's on Alabama and he's the quarterback. Since Georgia is really powered by their defense, what if they just gave it to like the quote unquote captain of the Georgia defense so that they can check that box? Because when's the last time they gave the Heisman to a defensive player?
It's only happened once. Woodson.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Woodson. Yeah, Woodson.
Yeah. Was it Woodson or Howard?
No, Desmond Howard was the receiver. I always get those two mixed up. Yeah, you're right, though. It was Woodson.
I do too.
Woodson.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that's the look. That's just not the thinking I think the NCAA and the Heisman Committee will go. I agree with you. Like, if there's no standout player, like, let's pick the dude who has 14 sacks or something like that. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I also have a really hot take that a little bit biased, but I really don't think it is. I think you're going to see – well, first of all, we all agree there's going to be no Heisman ceremony this year, correct? Like, there's no way they're going to New York with all the vaccine and everything with the mask. There's no way. It's going to be virtual this year, I think, right?
Probably.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Just making sure we're there. I think he's already going to be a finalist for the Maxwell. TreVeyon Henderson, if no one pulls away, TreVeyon Henderson could very well get an invite as a freshman, a true freshman. He got injured last week, but out of the running backs this year that I've seen, other than maybe Bijan Robinson, TreVeyon Henderson and Verdell against Ohio State. Verdell was very good. I haven't seen a running back as good as him in the country. Anyone disagree?
Not here.
No.
So I just think I'm hoping for that. I also think I think you're going to see. We'll get into the picks right next, but I think there's going to be a lot of blowouts, like serious blowouts, in these last couple of weeks. Not last couple. We're halfway through the season. You know what I mean? At the end of the season, because I do think with how good Alabama and Georgia are, and that there's basically going to be 2 spots open, because if they both go undefeated and they play in the SEC championship, and as long as it's not like an absolute one-sided game, they're both going to go to the college football playoff. Like, there's no way they don't commit. So with those 2 other spots, I think style points are going to absolutely matter this year. Like, I think style points 100% are going to matter. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see in Oklahoma they're playing like, no, Baylor's good, but like some other bad team, and Spencer Rattler's in the fourth quarter throwing and trying to win or trying to score more points, because I think it really will matter, especially with only basically 2 spots open, and that's just the way you have to look at it right now. All right, let's get into our picks. Not the picks yet. We'll get into the games. All right, first up on my docket, we got Penn State, Iowa. It's at Iowa. I believe Iowa is favored by 1.5, which is, once again, very weird. I know you said that, Matt, earlier, but I think it's very weird. And I also have a problem with the NCAA scheduling. Why the fuck is this game not at night? Like, I get the SEC when they do their little 3:30 games. Like, that's cool, whatever. I don't know why they're playing this at 4 o'clock in Iowa. Makes no sense to me. This should be an absolute primetime game. Iowa has a blackout to go against the Penn State's whiteout. Like, it infuriates me, but whatever. I think Ohio State would beat either of these 2 teams. But what are you guys thinking on the game? Matt, we start with you first, so I'll start with Tom. What's up, Tom?
So the only real thoughts I have on this game come from my pick'em pool, because I really do not follow as much as you guys do. So I know the line for this game is Iowa's favored 2.5 over Penn State. Obviously, it's just a field goal game. Well, I'm saying on my pick'em pool, it's 2.5. So it may be 1.5 for you bettors out there, but I got 2.5. I really don't know where to go with this game. I almost just want to say I'm going with Iowa potentially because they're home, but I picked Penn State for some reason. So I think I really have no idea, because like I said, I don't follow as close as you guys. I don't know the strength of schedule that they've had to play so far. I don't know, honestly, any player on either team. So I like Iowa at home. From what I've seen, they've put up good fights throughout the year so far. But I really don't have a definitive answer. I could be.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out and saying it. I've heard a lot of people who know just as much as you do about this matchup claim to know a lot more. So thank you, first of all. I'm taking Iowa. and this isn't an original thought. I've heard it kind of mirrored in a lot of places. Typically, when we're looking at spreads like this, we try not to factor in turnovers because they're just so unpredictable. And that's just something you don't want to touch. But when you look at the Iowa defense, they've been so consistent that we can almost count on them taking the ball away in every game and always put points on that. And at that point, it's just how can Penn State respond? Because I think for Penn State, it's dangerous when you're on the field offensively. Iowa can score whenever. So I'm taking Iowa. I would take it on a neutral site. So at home field, I like it even more.
Okay. Wow. I did not. I don't know if I would take them on a neutral site. These two teams have very good defenses. Like if you're new to America and like you're from Brazil and all you know is soccer and you came to America and someone was like, what football game should I watch? You should not watch Penn State versus Iowa. It's not going to be – well, it's going to be awesome for me because I like good defense. I think it's awesome. But you are I'm happy you brought that up. Like the first two games, Iowa did have like 4, I think, pick sixes. And then, like, obviously after that, you're like, okay, that's awesome, but there's no way they can keep that up. They've kept it up for the most part. They turn the ball over like crazy. And I think that's going to play right into their hands. I think Sean Clifford is not good, like just actually not very good. I think he's better on running the ball than he is throwing. They're going to try and shut down Jahan Dotson. I don't know if you can completely shut him down, but I think he has under 100 yards and probably 5 or 6 catches. But I agree. I like Iowa here. I like it even more at home. I agree. I just don't even though Penn State, I would say, probably has a better resume right now, I just don't believe in Penn State. I don't. Their defense is good, but that offense, other than Jahan Dotson, it's just nothing. Like they don't scare you. Nobody on that offense scares you. And then Iowa, I mean, you can say the same thing about that, but Iowa plays a style where it's almost like Iowa took over Wisconsin this year and was like, we're going to play really good defense and we're going to have a really good running back and we're going to beat you. So they've kind of taken Wisconsin's blueprint for this year, and I agree. I like Iowa a lot. I didn't know what to do with this early in the week. And I got to say, if it wasn't our game of the week, Matt, I probably would stay away from the spread and maybe bet the total. But because it is one of the games of the week, we have to bet it. I like Iowa minus 1.5. I just think they're going to force turnovers. I think Sean Clifford I think they're going to get pressure on Sean Clifford. He's going to get happy feet and things like that. So I like Iowa, but I can also see why Tom took Penn State. But hopefully it's a good game.
I said Iowa at home, I thought.
Yeah, but you said you made the Penn State pick in your pick'em pool or whatever.
Did I? I don't even know. Okay.
Whatever.
I'm out of it. I don't know.
But yeah, Iowa. I think Iowa's good. I think they win here, and I think they cover. Especially now that it's down to 1.5 points. I got it 1.5. So, and then their total. What was their total? I think it's like. Oh yeah, it's 41. Oh, that's weird. What do you like? Do you like over or under 41, Matt?
I hate that number. I guess I would take. Jeez, I don't even know. I guess maybe I'd take the under. I mean, I don't love it, but I feel a little better about it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a really low number. It's really, really, really low, and it's part of my parlay, so I'll release that later. But yeah, it's gonna be a weird game. Next on the docket, don't call it the Red River Showdown. Ryan, my brother, I know you texted me or responded to my Twitter. Shut up. It's the Red River Shootout, and it is the Red River Shootout not because of guns. It's because both of these teams don't play defense, and it actually is a shootout. All right, Matt, what are your thoughts on Oklahoma versus Texas?
I'm all about Texas. I mean, I love this matchup. They've played pretty similarly. I think just too many people have just forgotten about Texas. And listen, I'm not a Texas fan, by any means. I'm a hardcore SEC guy, and I don't even want Texas to join us. But just looking at this game, there's no reason for me to feel confident in thinking Oklahoma can safely put it away.
I agree, Tom.
I didn't quite catch anyone talk about the point spread. So what is the actual point spread versus what I have?
I didn't say the spread. What is it? Texas plus 3.5.
Okay. That's also what I have as well. Anytime I see two ranked teams going at it, I generally like to just take the points. But the fact that Texas is at home and they're a ranked team getting 3.5 points.
Texas isn't at home. It's in Dallas.
I have that.
It's in Dallas.
Okay.
Neutral site.
But that's still in Texas. It's still
pretty
in
close
Texas,
to Oklahoma too. That's why they play it there. That's why they play it in Dallas.
I mean, fair enough, I guess. I'm going to go with Texas. That's what I have. I really like getting the extra half point. If it were 2.5, I have no idea what I would do. But with that extra half point, I think that I'm taking Texas with that one.
Yep. That's 3.5 is a great betting number, especially if you think it's going to be a close game because that last second field goal hits and you're like, I don't care.
Yep.
But yeah, OU Texas. One of the weird things, like if we think about OU Texas, the rivalry, obviously last year's game was incredible. I don't know if you guys remember 4 overtimes. I think they ended up scoring a total of like 108 points. So for whatever reason in my head, I think that they always score points. Really, the over is only 2 and 3 in the last 5 games. So it's not as dominant as it usually is. While saying that, I also like Texas. I think Oklahoma is going to have absolutely no answer for Bijan Robinson. I also think Texas did find their right quarterback for this year, at least in Casey Thompson. And all he has to do is, I would say, hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson 20 to 25 times, target him at least 6 or 7, and then just don't throw interceptions. And I also just think looking at Spencer Rattler, like, I almost feel bad for him at this point. I don't know if you guys saw, but either it was 2 weeks ago or last week when they played West Virginia, they were chanting for the backup. I almost feel bad for him. I don't know if you guys remember coming out, Spencer Rattler was only a 4-star. He turned into a 5-star once he committed to Oklahoma. He was only a 4-star, which obviously is biased and weird, but it's how the rankings work. He was only a 4-star. But then he got all this hype because he came after Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. I just don't think he's that good. He has not looked good in big games for them at all. I think he crumbles under the pressure. I think this is Oklahoma's – I think they lose here. They'll still be in contention at the end because Texas will win or cover the spread today or on Saturday, and they'll lose to some random team for no fucking reason. It's exactly what happens in the Big 12. It happens every year. But yeah, I really like Texas here. I'm on board with Steve Sarkisian as of right now. Hopefully he doesn't go back to his drinking ways. We're sober buddies. What's up, Pete? Or not Pete, Steve. But yeah, I like him. He's doing a great job in recruiting. And it's also, I would just on the general say, I would think everyone should tune into this game just because it's probably going to be the last time that Oklahoma and Texas play each other in the Big 12. I know everyone says they're not moving to 2025. They're going to make it happen as soon as they can. If it's not this year, it's going to be next year. But anyone who likes football, this is going to be a good one. I would tune into this one. It's 2 legends, great game. So we'll see. What do I got next? What's next? Arkansas Ole Miss. Is this the I guess you could call it the comeback bowl? Or what did I put in the thing? The
rebound
bowl. This is the rebound bowl. Yes.
Rebound.
Both teams lost pretty significantly over the weekend. Do I have the line on there? I will look up the line. I believe
I have 6.5. I think you said it's 5.5.
Okay, we'll go with 5.5. Tom, go ahead and start us off.
Like I said, I got 6.5. I really do like both these teams. I watched the Arkansas game, obviously a little bit more than Ole Miss's game. I another thing with me when I'm looking at a lot of games like this, if I see the higher ranked team getting points, I generally try to gravitate towards that, especially because I have no idea between the two, who I guess has like a more complete team. Mississippi's home in this one, right? I think.
Yeah, Ole Miss. It's in Oxford.
Okay. I went with Arkansas here because, like I said, it's two very similarly ranked teams coming off games versus the 1 and 2. So I don't know if I could pick the winner straight up, but I like the comfort of the extra point. So I get 6.5 with Arkansas. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Well, you're lucky because it's 5.5 now. Matt.
I would take Arkansas to win outright. I'm really excited. This is, for me, the game maybe I'm most looking forward to this Saturday. Just the matchup there is so interesting. You look at it.
Why is it at noon? All right.
Is it at noon?
Yes. So keep going. Sorry,
Okay.
I just don't
I
get
imagine maybe like Bama A&M has that 3:30 slot.
I don't know. I'm just angry that it's at noon.
Georgia Auburn is 3:30. Georgia Auburn.
Really?
That's not That's not at night either.
No.
Listen, I'm a big fan of the 3:30 SEC on CBS.
We're gonna pause. Matt, keep going with your talk about Arkansas Ole Miss. Okay, we'll talk about everything else later. Keep going with the Arkansas Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's funny. I've looked at it, and by most offensive metrics, even though earlier I made the argument that Arkansas isn't the high-powered offense, by most offensive metrics, they're doing better than Ole Miss, which I thought I was wrong when I read that the first time. So they're obviously doing better on that side of the ball. Defensively, I don't even really think I have to speak for it. Ole Miss just hasn't really been quite what we thought they'd be defensively. That was somewhere I was hoping they'd improve a lot more this year. Granted, I could probably say that about most teams because last year was just a disaster defensively across the board. But I like Arkansas. I don't even know that I took them as one of my picks, but I would take them to win outright, especially at plus 5.5. Last time I took Arkansas plus 5.5 against like a 10 to 15 ranked team, it went pretty well, if you guys remember. So I'm going to stick with it.
Fuck you. I'm checking your picks right now. Tom, go ahead.
With what? Is this still Arkansas Ole Miss?
Yes.
I already went. I opened.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I forgot. Wow. Okay, my bad. I lose my mind sometimes. It happens. I was looking for your picks. No, you don't have Arkansas in one of your picks. You can change yours if you want to, but I love Ole Miss here. Opposite Matt. I like Matt Corral. They don't play any defense, but they are at home, and I think Matt Corral gets it done. I think Lane Kiffin knows he was an idiot last week, said some stupid things. I think he calls a great game this week. I do think Arkansas is good, and I think they're going to get better. But I think they're 1 to 2 years away from really being one of those elite teams, whereas I think Ole Miss is kind of in a upper tier above Arkansas right now. I expect them to kind of switch spots in the coming years, unless obviously Arch Manning commits to Ole Miss, then who knows. But, yeah, so I like Ole Miss. I like the points. I like them. Yeah, give me Ole Miss minus 5.5. We talked about the Heisman earlier. Obviously, it wasn't a great game for Matt Corral last weekend, but he's still very much in the conversation for the Heisman just because of what we talked about. There's no one else really. So I like Ole Miss, which is I never thought I would say that. I really hate the school Ole Miss. I don't like them, but whatever. They're like you want to go to a school like as a northerner, you want to go to a school down south that's southern. That's Ole Miss. Jesus. There's nothing wrong with Southern. I just didn't like South Carolina. Don't worry. All right, Georgia at Auburn. I think this is probably the easiest bet of the day. What's the spread? I don't know what the spread is. I think it's like 15 or something like that. I'll go first and just get my thoughts out of the way. I have 3 thoughts. Bo Nix sucks. So he just sucks. He's not good. Did you guys see that touchdown he threw last weekend?
Mm-hmm. Incredible. Yeah.
It's Tom, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised you don't love Bo Nix because he is Josh Allen in college football.
I don't know why. I literally have had conversations with you about why I loved Bo Nix coming in as a freshman, and it's unfortunate that he's not good.
Dude, I forget.
We've literally talked about it.
We've been doing this for like a year and a half, man. Cut me some slack. I can't remember what happened last week.
That's true. I do like Bo Nix, though.
Yeah, I mean, he is Josh Allen, but he's clearly not as good. It is going to be hilarious when some team either trades up into the early second round or in the late first round to select him. You know what? For Bo Nix, I hope he has a great NFL career. I just don't think he's very good. I don't think he's very good. And I think Georgia's really, really, really good. And I think their defense is really, 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 really good. So the easiest bet of the day for me is the under. I believe it's under 47. Easy money. Georgia scores, I don't know, 30 points, 35 points. I just can't see Auburn and Bo Nix and that system working against the Georgia defense. Right now, I can't see anyone beating a Georgia defense or even really, other than Alabama, scoring on a Georgia defense right now. So I like Georgia. I would take them. I'm not going to take them as a pick, but I like the under 47. I think Georgia holds them to under 10 points. Matt, we'll go to you.
Well, first of all, I'd be careful picking any game thinking Georgia's not going to score X amount of points. I got burned pretty bad.
I know.
That being said,
I still have another pretty shocking pick coming, so don't worry.
Well, that being said, I've seen so many articles this week. If anyone's going to pull off the upset, Auburn might have a chance. It's just crap. It's all crap.
Okay.
Like. Just the amount of clickbait around this matchup. This should be easy. I mean, Bo Nix is not going to run circles around Georgia and throw for 10 touchdowns.
No.
Tank Bigsby, one of my favorite backs, honestly, in the SEC, will be so physically overwhelmed just simply by the Georgia defense. I don't see – if I'm ever going to pick an upset, I want to build the story of how it's going to happen and how can I see this happening, what has to happen. I don't know there's anything that Auburn can do well enough to beat Georgia. So this is going to bite me. I'm going in pretty hard. So on the 0.002% chance that Auburn actually wins, I am 100% okay making a fool of myself because this is as black and white as maybe any matchup I've seen in the SEC.
I agree completely. That touchdown last weekend was awesome from Bo Nix. This weekend, if he tries to do that, his neck will be broken. So, I love Georgia here. Tom, you are a new Georgia fan just this year, pretty much, and you try to tell me that you're not a new Georgia fan. But another thing that I don't think that we need to talk about with Georgia is Georgia better with Stetson Bennett?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I think they are too. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, for the game, what did you say the line was for the actual line now?
I'll look it up. Keep going. Talk.
No, it's fine. I have it at 14.5. I'm sure it's somewhere like that now. Like Matt said, I don't really see Georgia giving up too 15. Many points, if any. 15 for you. So, 14.5. I don't really care about the half point here. Normally, the half point would be devastating to try and figure out, but Georgia's so good this year. I'm going with Georgia, even if they're away. And I know I said, matchups that are top 25 and they're both ranked in the team at home. That doesn't matter for me in this one.
Yeah, I think it's at 15.5 now. So I know I just brought it up, but with Stetson Bennett playing, he is the perfect quarterback for that. We saw him play last year for Georgia. He wasn't very good, but Georgia didn't have the defense they have this year. literally all Stetson Bennett needs to do is not throw interceptions. And I don't think Kirby Smart is very smart. Well, he's obviously an intelligent human being. I don't think he's a great football coach. So, but I think he probably just told him, he's like, we're going to win if you just don't throw interceptions. Like, if there's an interception there, like, just take a sack. Like, because our defense is fine. So, I really, really, really like Georgia here. And I think if I were to bet on the game, I would take Georgia and the 15 points, like giving the 15 points. So I like Georgia a lot. I think this is blowout city for them. And I also think this week it's another ranked team they're playing, so they could, if they win handily, which I think they will, move up above Alabama possibly. But we'll see about that. And then what else did I have on here? Someone tell me what's next. No, don't. LSU with Kentucky, another awesome SEC game. I tried to load it up with SEC, Matt. No, I'm just kidding. I really didn't. There's really just only good games that are in the SEC this week, which is actually
like every week.
Yeah, kind of like every week. Yeah. Oh well, the Big Ten has the one game this week, but whatever.
Big Ten's looking good this year.
Yeah, we can talk about this.
There's a level of competition I'm not used to up there. And that's
I like that you said that. I don't necessarily agree with you. I don't. But we can talk about it at a different time. LSU Kentucky, not much to say. LSU is imploding. I don't know if you guys heard Coach O he was on the radio like Wednesday or Thursday. He I don't know if it was jokingly or whatever, but he like threatened a fan's life. I'm sure it was a joke, but those are the headlines you don't want to be making, Coach O. It seems like I don't know who's out and who's playing for LSU. Like Derek Stingley, who is awesome, seems to be playing one game and then just missed 2 in a row for no reason. LSU's defense should be one of the best. Their secondary should be the best secondary in the country with Elias Ricks and Derek Stingley. They're not. I loved Coach O for what he did with Joe Burrow. That was awesome. It was a cool story. It was great. Coach O got lucky. And he lucked out that he was able to coach one of the best college football teams we've seen in probably 10 years, one of the best. I think he's out sooner rather than later. I like Kentucky here. I think at home, I think this is a huge for them being at home. And also their quarterback's a weird fucking dude and unpredictable. So I kind of like that. I don't know if you saw, but I can't remember what his name is, but he eats the banana with the peel on it. He made a video with he was drinking coffee with his girlfriend and he put mayonnaise in his coffee and drank it.
I did see that one. Yeah.
So he's weird, but I like weird like that. So whatever. And it's Kentucky. Like you're not known for football really. So yeah, make your own impression. I like Kentucky. You guys?
Yeah, this is a line I jumped all over the second I saw it. I got it. It was Kentucky -3. Yeah, that's just ridiculous to me. Beyond the fact that they're coming off a win over Florida, I talked about this a little bit in my rankings. They played a bad game against Florida and won. And I know there's a lot more that Kentucky's capable of. And so I see Kentucky doing really well in this game. Add on to that, Coach O's not the guy. I'm normally the last person to jump on some of these hot seat discussions. But I think O's out. I mean, just looking at the state of it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean,
they're like 8-7 since the national title game. You've got all the pieces you need. I think they're ready. Here's the thing. I don't think it's the end of LSU football, though. I think they get rid of Coach O. I think within a year, 2 years, that's a top 10 team. You look at the recruiting wave that followed that national title. It was incredible. But the culture there is just so poor right now, and nothing's clicking, nothing's working. They've got guys hurt. There's really not a lot of games I would pick them to win, especially not against a Kentucky team that I'm really high on this year. So,
yeah. Tom, I'll get to you in a second. Yeah, Tom.
correct me if I'm wrong. Did Kentucky beat Florida, or was it like at least close?
They beat Florida last week.
It was 2013. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Kentucky solely on that fact. LSU is not Florida. And if you're able to hang with, I think Florida was a top 12 team in the country or something like that when they beat them. I'm just going to go with Kentucky based on that.
I just love the fact that me and Tom, it's just opposite roles on Fridays and Sundays. Like I play Tom on Sunday in our fantasy show, and Tom plays me in the football show. So it's just funny.
I just don't know college football like that.
It's fine. I never said it was wrong. It's fine. I never said there's anything wrong about that. I'll start with LSU. Two things really. The coaching search that's going to take place for LSU is going to be very interesting because I think they need to find maybe not the best guy, but they need to find the right guy. And the right guy I mean is almost hiring another guy like Coach O, not like Coach O, but is more of a CEO and then hires really good coordinators. Like LSU needs to have a coach who's rah-rah, like, let's go, it's the South. But then, like, the only reason O won also was because his coordinators were amazing. His passing game coordinator is the passing game coordinator for the Panthers now. So, I mean, LSU and, like, the recruiting wave was there. That's why they got Derek Stingley. That's why they got Eli Riggs, the top number one cornerback, 2 classes in a row, to LSU. But I mean, if you just look at it, after they won the national championship, it was like a peak, and then it wasn't even a valley. It was like a peak, and then it was just like a double black diamond. I don't know if you ski or snowboard. Double black diamond on the way down. It was crazy, and the culture there. That's why I say when I say the coach need a guy like Coach O, they need a guy who's going to clean up that program. I mean, I'm so sick about hearing about Darius Geis. Like, the dude is seriously fucked up, but, like, I don't want to hear anymore about how he hit on, like, 94-year-old women. I don't. It's weird. So they need someone to fix that whole damn program. But whatever. All right. And then, all right. Picks card. I believe, Matt, you'll have 5. I have a couple more than 5. But go ahead, lay it out. Oh, actually, I need to write these down. Oh, it's in the text message. Never mind. Okay. Lay out your 5 picks for the week, and then if you have any other suggestions, go ahead, hop in on it.
Yeah, so first off, I've got the over on the Red River Shootout. Not my most original thought, but it's fun to do. I like taking the over. You get to cheer for everybody. I've got Iowa -1.5. Talked about that earlier. Kentucky -3. Bama, Texas A&M. I've got it over 50. And then my last pick here, I've got Michigan -3. But looking more into Nebraska, I feel like they're better than maybe I thought when I made that pick. And I'm hesitant because I might want to change that out for my Arkansas -5.5.
I'll tell you what, we're about maybe 5-10 minutes left. I'll give you 5-10 minutes to think about it, and you can change it out if you want to.
Let me do this. Instead of the Bama Texas A&M over, plug in the Arkansas +5.5 for me.
Arkansas +5.5.
If that's still what it's at, I'll check for you here.
I got it. Yeah, I'll look it up. I got it. My bookie usually has better lines, so I always give those out to you guys. All right. My picks this week. Michigan State, Rutgers under 51. That's going to be Rutgers is better than people think, even though they got crushed by Ohio State last weekend. Once again, it's another thing where I've said Ohio State's coming into its own again, so it's not that big a deal. Michigan State is very physical. They've always been a physical team. Kenneth, I can't remember what his last name is. Their running back transfer in. He's got like 500, 600 rushing yards, 700 – he's got a lot of rushing yards already. I think for sure it's just going to be a low-scoring game, and I do like Michigan State to win, but I like the under 51 more. This is one I'm very hesitant with, but I think I'm going to stick with it. OSU Maryland under 71. Iowa destroyed Maryland last weekend, and now that I'm thinking about it, Iowa has a really good defense. No, I'll just stick with it. I think Ohio State probably holds them to 14 points, and I think they score 48 or something like that. So I think it goes under. I'll stick with that one. My baby, who I've been just loving in college football all year. The best thing I do every week: bet against Akron. Bet against Akron. I love BG minus 14 at home versus Akron. Akron is one, I've said it every show. Akron is one of the top 5 or bottom 5 worst teams in the FBS. They're horrible. And BG stuck with Kent State last weekend. And they have a decent resume, and I think they dominate Akron. Next pick, I will go with Georgia Auburn under 47. We already kind of talked about that. Iowa minus 1.5 as well. These are 6. I'm giving out 6 picks right now, or more than 6 picks, but I
do too. So.
At Texas plus 3.5. The 2020 Vision parlay will be Ohio State first half. They haven't released it yet. They'll release it tomorrow morning, but I'm taking it whatever it is. It's probably gonna be like minus 7 or minus 10 or minus 14. Take that. And then the other 3 parts, Iowa, Penn State under 41, Notre Dame pick'em. It is a pick'em, or it was a pick'em. And then LSU versus Kentucky, Kentucky minus 3. So that is the parlay. And then I'll just do my NFL picks too. Browns money line. Love it. Actually, I don't love it. I'm very scared about Sunday. Very, very scared about Sunday. Carolina minus 3. Once again, my other baby in the NFL, my Cardinals minus 5 versus the Niners. Could be a tough game, but I love Kyler Murray. Houston plus 8.5 versus the Patriots. I only put a half a unit on that one. I'm not too confident in that one. But now we're back to the Let's Rock parlay, which has hit last week, and I'm feeling very, very good about it this week. Tom, tell me where this loses. All right, we got Denver plus 1 versus the Steelers, Green Bay minus 3 versus Cincy, San Francisco, Arizona over 49.5, and the Tampa Bay money line.
If Teddy Bridgewater does not play, I think Denver.
Yep, that is exactly
one spot, because I know he's in. I think it's concussion protocol.
Yep. If he drops out and is not playing, I will change that pick, and I will let everyone know. Green Bay opening as 3-point favorites to Cincy is crazy. San Francisco, Arizona, I think they just score points. And like I said, Tampa Bay is going to win. We'll see about that Denver pick. I do have a lock for college football. I'm following my friend Matt's. His last time he was on, I'm going with one of these. I am obsessed with, want to make love to Temple plus 29.5 versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati, you got to think, coming off, they beat Indiana 3 weeks ago. They beat Notre Dame last weekend, the biggest game ever in their program history. They're going to beat Temple, but they are not going to cover. It's going to be a major letdown. I think they only win by 14-17. Still a win, but not covering 30 points. If you guys don't take that, I am going to look at you very weirdly. If you're actually betting, I don't know if Matt, you are betting or not. That is so easy for me. I've never seen something easier in my entire life.
I love that spread. I hadn't heard of that one yet.
I could not believe it when it came out. Like 29.5. That's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. It's almost as much as Vandy was getting, but not as much. All right. I think that is going to do it for us. Obviously, make sure everyone tunes in at Tom, I forgot to tell you, I'm at 4 this week. Browns don't play till 4, so we can go straight up to 1. Sunday fantasy show.
I actually am going to have a very hard time doing the show because the Jets play at 9:30 in the morning. So I'm definitely going to have that on my other screen, I'm pretty sure.
All right, we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it.
I'll sit and do it, but I'm going to have the game on. Yeah, I'm going to have the game on. I will let you know that.
I'm 100% going to bet that game.
I'm not missing 9 a.m. football.
I'm 100% going to bet that game because it's in London. But I'll text you about it. But yeah, we'll figure that out. But make sure you tune in. We will start at probably 11, sometime around 11, our Sunday fantasy show. And I don't think Jake's coming on this week. He's busy, but I will get his picks. You will get more of my picks. I think
Corey might come.
Oh, Corey. I love Corey. Corey might come back. Obviously, Matt, if you ever want to come on, just text me. But definitely tune in to that at 11 a.m. We go right until kickoff. If people have questions, I can stick around a little later because Browns will play till 4. But definitely tune in. It's going to be a good show. We've got it going. Me and Tom, we've been doing this shit for so long. We can basically finish each other's sentences. But yeah, it should be a good one. And then, what did you say? What did you say?
Nothing.
That's what I thought.
I said sandwiches. Yeah. That's
what I thought. So yeah, definitely tune in. But yeah, it's going to be a great college football weekend. Matt, any last words? Any words for everyone else? You could say go Gators.
Please just watch Arkansas Ole Miss. I can't believe the amount of people who have given up on those two teams after losing to the 1 and 2 teams in the country. They might not be playoff teams. That doesn't mean they're bad teams. Go watch them.
Wow, that's a great Tom. Can you up that? No, you can't because we all know Tom's final words. Tom, what's final words?
Well, I actually have a really quick thing for fans because I forgot about the fact that the Jets and Falcons play at 9 in the morning. So I was going to have Matt Ryan as my sit-em quarterback for the week because the Jets are giving up the third fewest fantasy points to the position. And he does not have not only Russell Gage, who did not make the trip over to London, but he is also without Calvin Ridley, who did not make the trip for a personal matter. So Matt Ryan already going up against a tough defense.
Really quickly, the Falcons are tanking. We all understand that, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
They're trying to secure the number 1 pick. There's no reason Calvin Ridley is not on that plane to London.
100%. There's a personal matter, quote unquote. But yeah, I'm sitting Matt Ryan everywhere. I don't even think I have, but I would not play him whatsoever. Corey Davis and Jamison Crowder could potentially be very, very good just because they're going to be the top 2 targets and the Falcons defense is not very good. So I wanted to get that in there for anyone that is here looking for fantasy advice. Not that we have anyone as of right now anyway, but Matt Ryan is not the play. Please go find somebody else. I feel bad for you if he's your only quarterback on your roster. And Sco Dogs.